And welcome to 1 Million Cups. I'm an on-time person. And as far as I know, it is exactly
2 minutes.
We got 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Okay.
That's exactly.
You got
Never mind.
Walk spot, my favorite.
Yeah. I see there's still a few.
I'm doing good.
There you go, Sharon.
That's fine.
You're fun.
Might need to invest in a real tripod at some point. That makes Okay.
Good morning and welcome to 1 Million Cups.
Oh, I
This is a
see.
weekly educational program. We will meet every Wednesday at 7:30 in the morning. Across the United States this morning, there are 40 other locations doing the same thing we are. There'll be 2 presenters this morning. This is Mark Lee. He's going to introduce our speaker this morning. He is your city councilman, and he's an entrepreneur and one of our coordinators.
Good morning. Thanks, Ruth Ann. I tell you what, this is an exciting day. I didn't know what to expect in terms of turnout. This is great. Kevin, I know you haven't remodeled for a while, but get busy. You may need to knock some walls out and expand this space just for 1 Million Cups. Glad to see everybody here. Just a brief explanation of who I am. I serve Ward 1 on City Council and chair Economic Development Committee. This is not a city enterprise, but it's certainly endorsed and backed by the city as well as Economic Development Corporation. I'm president of the Paragon in Madisonville and Paragon Development Consultants. My much better half, Maria, in the back row there, is co-founder with me of those companies, and we're in senior housing and in various ways here in Louisville and elsewhere. So with that, I want to bring up Scott Laskowski. I butcher that every time. Scott, where are you? There you go. He is the founder and president of LEI, and I'm not going to tread on his time more than that. Welcome, Scott.
A few months ago, I got a phone call from the Toledo Zoo. They called me because they had a bit of a problem with their elephant by the name of Louie. Louie, for them, causes a little bit of a problem because, as elephants go, they create, as they put it, Louie Manooie. And they were looking for a solution to get rid of this. They don't want to haul it off, but they wanted to make some green solution out of it. That's what we do. Here at LEI Products, we've come up with a way to burn, dry, and process biomass to create cheap heat and turn previously unusable biomass to money-saving and money-making opportunities. In the case of the zoo, we're able to say, okay, no longer do you have to pay to haul it to the dump. We can turn it into fuel to heat your buildings with. We can turn it into sterilized fertilizer, organic style fertilizer, and we can make biochar. All at the same time while sequestering carbon in the process. They get to sell themselves as green. It's a great story to tell from their end. They solve the problem, they save money. Well, for us in our world, we have to live with several facts. The first being, and this is good, biomass is going to play an increasing role in the worldwide energy pool. We're becoming more familiar with green technology and all. That's going to be a big plus for us. But here's another one. Biomass technology is inconvenient. I don't go push that wall button that says, make it 72 in here. There's extra effort involved in working with biomass. Then you've got this side. There's an entrepreneurial opportunity. The industry is ripe for supplying alternative energy and opportunities as the new technologies becoming available, and that's what we do here. So there are a lot of biomass options available today. Not many of them, though, are very usable in their form, from sawdust to wood chips to manures and all those kinds of things. They're all biomass, but they go to waste, create CO2, and continue to cause the problem. A few of them, like pellets, where they're processed highly and all, yes, they're usable, but they're pretty expensive and really don't save you much money. And then there are also a lot of applications that can use this heat. Throwing up a list of them, one of the big ones in this area is poultry houses. There are thousands of them, tens of thousands really, all over the world where they're trying to find alternative energy sources other than things like propane. You all remember what happened last year. It went crazy, up to $7 if you could get it. So we're already being approached by Pilgrim's Pride and some of these others saying, what can we do? Well, for our company, we have a chicken egg problem. There's all this biomass out there, can't be used. There were no appliances to burn this stuff, and there were no devices out there to make the biomass into something usable. So we had this proverbial chicken egg, so we had to decide what we wanted to do about it, chase the chicken or the egg. We say we chase the chicken first. We made what we call the bioburner. It's a machine that you can put lots of different kinds of biomass in, make hot water, and then you can heat your facilities or whatever it is you need to heat for process heat. The second phase of that is what we call the egg. That's how do you change all this biomass that's out there into something usable. So we've just recently developed fuel processing systems that can convert biomass into not only fuel, but marketable products like colored mulch, animal bedding. We can sequester carbon while we're at it. We can, of course, make biomass fuel. There are a lot of opportunities. So what we're trying to do is make opportunity for entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs will, if given a choice, take a piece of equipment, if they can make money at it, make a business out of it, and become successful. This story right here is one that I'm going to use as an example to set the stage for what we're doing, because we have right here in the front row one of the premier entrepreneurs in the United States, and here's the story. I got to live it along with him. 1982, there he is, developed a sawmill. It's a nice little simple one, no hydraulics, a lot of manual labor, but you could pull up next to a tree, saw it up, give your customer what he's looking for in terms of lumber to make a barn, and then the guy that's got the sawmill is creating a living for himself, like this guy. He owns the mill, he's giving the customer satisfaction, we're using local resources, we're keeping all the money in-house locally, shipping's not eating it up, and those kinds of things. And then when you go 30 plus years later, you end up with a scenario like this. This is a manufacturing plant in Cole, Poland. There are now over 50,000 of these sawmills worldwide, 30 years later. You turn all those sawmills on today, biggest manufacturer of lumber in the world out of one company, because we turn loose 50,000 entrepreneurs. So what we're talking about doing is taking our processing system, doing the same thing, putting it in the hands of an entrepreneur, letting him process biomass locally, turn it into a job, turn it into local economies, macro economies. But sounds huge. Can it be done? Yes, it can. It's already been done in that situation there. See if this has parallels for you.
What are you doing, Don? I need fuel. Go ahead, quick, get in the car. No, Doc, I think you are. We're going to take the new truck for a spin. Well, bring it along. Hey, Doc, you better back up. We don't have enough room to get up to the egg.
Roads? We don't need roads.
Well, they didn't need roads, we still do. When you go down the highway the next time and you see these road crews chopping up trees and moving the fence rows back, and realize they're going through all that effort and energy to take biomass, chop it up, destroy our little CO2 scrubbers, then throw it on the ground, we have technology emerging now that will let us take all that kind of biomass, let's collect it, let's heat our chicken houses, let's heat our rest areas, our maintenance garages, that sort of thing. So I challenge you the next time as you drive down the highway and see that, not to think about this opportunity in front of us. So that's our story.
Let's have about 15 or 20 minutes for questions. Are there any questions for Scott?
I have one. Scott, how do you guys tackle sales with a technology product? How do you get your name out there, find clients?
In the beginning, it was the trade shows. We were very familiar with all the farm shows and lumber shows and all that, and so we did some of that in the beginning from our Woodmiser days. We were fortunate that we had the name to live off of and still do, because Woodmiser's a big name, it's a good name, so we were able to springboard from there. and we had a niche market of customers. But today, the big thing is YouTube videos. We can put one out and we get calls from around the world within a few hours sometimes. YouTube and the internet is the best way. We're finding the internet in terms of web searches and all, that's a bigger challenge because it's hard to get yourself up on the search engines. YouTube, now, you make a decent content, it doesn't have to be professional, preferably not professional. Go to the YouTube with something like that and do a lot of small clips and get your kids up, that sort of thing. Question?
How are you selling the product? You got it set up where you can mass produce those and set up those micro markets that you talked about?
How do we do it now? We do have a manufacturing facility here. We've got about 40,000 square feet. We're small, we're starting, we've got 12 people right now, which is really too many for the sales that we have. But we have manufacturing capabilities and the design capabilities in-house to do everything. So we do manufacture our own products. For the burners, we've got about 100 of them out. Now we're developing this other, manufacturing it and starting the distribution. But for us, it's just a slow walk up when we do everything in-house. Did that answer your question? Okay. Yes?
Technical question on the piece of equipment. Are we talking about a single piece of equipment that does this? And does it come in various sizes as far as what's the size?
Which piece of equipment are you?
Well, that's what I say. I'm not familiar.
Okay, in 6 minutes I don't get to. It's a lot to chew on here.
Yeah.
We have two groups of equipment: the burners themselves.
Okay.
Okay, and those come in three sizes.
Okay.
100 to 300 to 500,000 BTUs.
Okay.
And then on the processing side, we make a machine where you can put anything that's wet or chunky or whatever, and then refine it down to a really nice looking. I can run a video. I don't even have it. I don't think. Perfect biomass fuel out the other side, homogeneous, like sand, even if you want to go that far. So it can be stored, it can be used as a fertilizer, it can be...
So these are like individual units that you can purchase?
That's correct.
For application of like one chicken farm or...
That's a great example. Okay. A chicken farm operator can get in his own closed loop. He can buy burners to heat his buildings. That same burner in off-season can be used with the drying processing system to make his own bedding, which is a huge expense. He could burn his chicken litter as fuel, so he doesn't have to figure out how to get rid of it. Southern states and eastern states, they can't even take it off farms anymore because they have such a saturation problem. So what we're trying to do is jump ahead of that industry and say, okay, we know you have disease problems, we know you have saturation problems, so we're going to give you equipment to let you do it all in-house. Go buy cheap chips somewhere for a couple of dollars a yard and turn it into $10 to $20 yard material that you can use for yourself or sell to your neighbor and save all that money on 5,000 to 7,000 gallons per chicken house. Now, most of these guys have 4 or 6 houses each, so the return on investment is phenomenal. You get good dry heat, it's better for the chickens, all that kind of stuff. So we're putting together closed scenarios for customers. That's just one, and there's a lot of angles to this.
I came today to hear what you were talking about. Do you market in North Carolina?
Yes, we do.
Because there's more chicken houses in North Carolina than...
The chicken industry has been looking for this solution for a long, long time. A few people have attempted. Nobody's found a viable solution. We are now maturing far enough where ours work. We have specific examples that work, case studies being built, to the point where Pilgrim's Pride, if you've heard that name, second largest producer of protein in the world, came to us last week and said, we want to know what we can do for our 3,900 growers. Wow. So they come on the 24th. Their key people are coming to look at, again, what can we do for that industry that they can help promote that's reliable and has good return on investment.
I just wanted to ask, where did you come up with this idea?
What made it come up?
Right.
When we made sawmills, and a lot of them, every sawmill had one thing in common. Every time you made a cut, you made a pile of sawdust. It was this fine sawdust. There was no technology to burn it, and there were mountains of it. So you've got this challenge or an opportunity, either way you want to look at it, of all this biomass fuel that's almost ready to be used, but not quite. It's wet, you can't burn it. There's no machine that can auger it and burn it. So we made the machine to do that, and that has exploded into a lot of opportunities. Question?
Pricing on
The units?
yeah.
Pricing on the units. If you want to get in and heat your home and a swimming pool and all that, our smallest machine is going to get you in around $15,000. A little higher price than most, but it's all automated. When we talk about convenience, this is as close as you get to pushing a button, because you fill a hopper, it feeds itself. As long as you're emptying the hopper and the ash, you're good to go. If you go all the way to the end of the spectrum and buy the big machine and the processing system, right now the price is around $110,000. You're in business, heating your facilities, and making some excellent money on the side with the processing system. That's the entrepreneurial piece that we know makes it work based on the Wood-Mizer story. So that's the way we brought it out. Mark?
Scott, let's say that when Pilgrim's Pride comes in, that really cranks up, and you got 3,900 farmers knocking on your door. How do you get from where you are now to there? What's your plan, and how do financing challenges factor into that?
The nice part is when we get those kind of orders, we get 50% down. And we never work off our own money if we don't have to.
Okay.
Right, 10% minimum on the small orders, 50% on the big ones. Of course, it's a challenge. We only have a dozen people. We do have a lot of manufacturing expertise. We did it for 30 plus years at Wood-Mizer. We're very good at what we did, and we did it worldwide, so international doesn't scare us at all. We've got machines in Malaysia already. Getting from there to there, though, is going to be a huge walk-up. I'm scared of it this year because everybody's waiting till fall, and then you're going to throw these big orders on me, and I'm going to have a challenge. Now, I've already networked with companies here in town that can make me the frames of a big piece of equipment we might make. We can still go back to our previous company, Wood-Mizer. They have manufacturing capacity, would love to make stuff for us. And then we can grow in the meantime. The cash so far, we're internal, thankfully, because we've got family resources, and namely this guy sitting up here. But keeping it internal, that means we can make our own decisions and we can jump rather than going to board meetings and spreading out. We're trying to stay that way.
Very good. Thank you.
Is there a place you can buy biochar locally? I bought some, but it was like I ordered it on the internet and I use it in my garden.
Great question. Our new machine, one of the things we're releasing now is biochar. We manufacture biochar. I have a bunch of it up here if you want to stop by.
Yay.
Yep. That's an emerging market that looks like it's huge. And we're combining it with sterilized horse manure as topping or potting soil. There's some great stuff coming out that way. Great opportunities.
What about EPA compliant, things like that?
We are EPA compliant on our small machine. It's the first thing we did. We went through you can't get more regulated than we are on our smallest machine. It's EPA phase 2, it's Canada, what do they call it? B415, UL, CSA, you name it, we've done it. The bigger machines are in process. We're testing one more motor in UL and British Columbia. It should be done this month. Then all our machines will be grandfathered UL, and then we're also working on scrubbing technology to get ahead of that for all the emissions issues that are coming up. Lots of stuff going on. They're going to position us very well for the future.
All right, take me through, if I buy one for like the barn, to heat my barn facility.
Okay.
So I already have horse manure, we already know that. So in my mind, from what we've discussed, I basically take the machine, put the raw horse manure and the wood or whatever else I have, if it's raw biofuel.
Right.
Put it in the hopper, and then it does what? Take me through that.
We create heat with one of our burners to make hot water.
Mm-hmm.
The hot water heats a tube that's got an auger in it. We feed the wet material in that auger.
Mm-hmm.
There's a hammer mill built in line that you can turn on to break the chunks up.
Mm-hmm.
Comes out the other end after it's traveled through these hot water tubes. It'll be dry, and it'll be in a form that is sterilized, dried, something you can store forever. As long as you don't get it re-wet again, then you can use it as a fuel or fertilizer. Now, we are scaled for large operations only at the moment. If we made a machine that let the small people do it, I'd be selling lots and lots and lots of them. Not what we want to do today. We want to go after the higher dollar, higher margin customers. But that's what we do. We just basically dehydrate, break it up, and then store it, burn it, or we use it however we want to. And you can come see it. We run down here all the time.
Okay.
Okay? Yes?
Piggybacking on her question, as far as kind of taking the raw material to burn, would it have to always go through a processing system? How raw can my material be that putting in a burner?
We can burn some raw materials that haven't been processed, but horse manure always have to run it through the machine to use it. Otherwise, it clogs up, just doesn't work. Chicken bedding, on the other hand, has a different set of issues. If you take it straight out of the barn, It's not wet, but it's caked a little bit, but we can actually burn that. But it has emissions issues and really high ash content. So we have to deal with that problem on the other side, but we're physically burning that without processing. I ran a batch last week for people in Pennsylvania. I've got a guy coming tomorrow night from Arkansas with 200 pounds of his turkey litter to do the same thing. So you can get a sense that this industry is panicky because some couldn't even heat barns. They had shut down. Some were being told, we don't care if you have a contract and that you've got birds, your $1.50 price doesn't work, I can sell it over here for $6. That's where it's going. So lawsuits are flying, all sorts of stuff. Go.
Scott, can you talk a little bit about the cost effectiveness of doing this, heating?
Okay. If you were to buy biomass, I can buy biomass chips for $25 a ton, okay? I go to a sawmill and buy it. They love to sell it to me for $25 a ton. In my bigger machines, I can burn wet chips. So I can actually go there and buy that, as long as it's not too big pieces, or I can go to a recycle center and buy it for even less. $25 a ton biomass is equivalent to 18 cents a gallon propane. It's pretty easy to do the math from there. And when you're talking about 5,000 to 7,000 gallons per house, and one of our burners can handle almost 2 houses, they may have to use a little backup propane. The ROI is, in some cases, 6 months, 2 years, certainly no more than 3 of the return. And that's just for the burner. You throw in the processor and all that, it really starts to explode for opportunity.
Do you, my thinking is always partnering up with other people and everything. Did you partner up with any chicken house farmers here to test with and for you to be able to use, like whenever the companies come to you, that you can take them there, or you've got somebody that tells about it?
What we've done, because in this industry case studies matter, we haven't been in a position just to go throw our equipment out there because it's pricey and we have to try to make a living too. What we've done though is rely on colleges, those kinds of things. Like for instance, Knoxville, UT has one in a barn outside of Knoxville that we work with. Then we found another guy jumped on taking his old pellet burning technology and put one in his barn. Fuel Farmer, if you go look him up on the internet, he's got a bunch of stuff out there. He's had one in his barns now for 2.5 years. Those people then are happy to be references for us, and that's what we do. We got another one in Indiana that just popped up. We're trying to get him connected with Purdue, who wants to write case studies and check how many times the air has to be exchanged, what does dry air do for them in their litter, and all those numbers that everybody wants to know. We're trying to get that together now from a case study perspective, right?
Scott, all of our businesses have differences, obviously, and yours in some ways more than what a lot of others may because of the technical aspects. What about your business, though, and your journey of growing your company? Would you say are some of the biggest challenges that you've been faced with that might be applicable to other entrepreneurs?
I won't say this, and he can put his 2 bits in it too, but when you're doing this, you've got to believe in what you're doing and go for it. Most of what you're going to find in your business is whether you make it or not. We're at that stage right now where we've been out for a while now, and people are checking us out. They want to see if you're going to survive a few years. Are you going to be there for 10 more? It's all about perseverance and believing in yourself. And those days when you want to quit and go home and say, why did I do this? You just you put another foot in front of the other. And I watched him do it. And all the things and all the people that rallied around, I've got the same support group right now. We are at that stage where now, yes, we've proven it, we've plateaued, and people are watching us, and we're ready to do this. By the example of people like Pilgrim's Pride saying, we've been watching you, and here we are.
When you're all in, you really don't have the choice to go home, do you?
Brett and I, my wife back here, stepped into this saying, you know what, we are willing to lose it all and go back, live in a mobile home, and help raise grandchildren. Really is, that's what we said. And we don't believe it's going to happen. We're fighters. We're going to keep going no matter what. You got a question? Murray State University, great point. Murray State University has bought into this. They've got one of the drying systems, 2 burners already in place, and by September they're going to have a mobile unit as well. So they bought in. They're going after the public or the publicity that comes along with being very green, progressive. Their school body is buying into this and saying, you know what, we're going to set up and we're going to be one of the nation's test facilities, because they're the only one literally in the world that can take all of these biomasses that they do at from their ag centers. They've got the equine center. They can bring it all to one spot, test it, configure it into whatever configuration they want, burn it, catch the emissions, do it to EPA standards, all in one site. No test facility in the world has this. And if they will become certified, they will be the premier test facility in the world. So it's pretty exciting stuff going on there right now.
Right. Do you have this patented? What have you done to protect yourself?
We have several patents pending, and that just takes time. We've patent pending on our burning technology, which is very unique. I won't go into all that right now. We've got patents pending on the drying process because that is also unique. Nobody does the way we're doing it. We have some things coming down the pike right now that we will probably additionally chase for patents. The question becomes, is your patent simple enough to protect it? Patents mean nothing if you can't protect it in court, which we successfully did at Wood-Mizer, and we were able to keep people at bay for 17 years, and it was a very good thing. And that's the lesson I learned. We do have some patents back then that were just very rock solid. Today, I'm trying to do that. It's a little tougher to do with the technology, but we're trying. So all I can say is we've done our due diligence, we're patent pending, and that's all we can do. Yeah.
You were very successful in your other model, and you have that as an example, which gives you a win-win edge over most entrepreneurs that are out there right now. However, you face different challenges based on your business model. My question is, based on the challenges you had and the pre-existing information that you had, what was the biggest challenge that you weren't expecting?
What's my biggest challenge is how long it's taking to make the switch. When we first stepped in, I was pretty naive thinking, everybody's talking green. We want to be green, 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 green. Well, one of the slides I had to drop in the name of time was all these names. You start talking about Solyndra and all these others. Well, that's not necessarily a good thing because people are very leery of green technology because there have been so many people that have scammed it or failed and gotten out. And in my industry in particular, it's a big problem. So I've had to come in, brand our product, service the heck out of a brand new product that is full of problems to begin with. We've worked through all that. Now we've survived that phase. And now it's a matter of persevering through this last phase of getting it to be mainstream. So that's our challenge, is how long it's taking. We wanted it to be a couple years ago that we would have ramped out of it. And it looks like we're finally getting there this year. Man, this is our 5th year. It takes a long, long time. Is that it?
Well, thank you very much. Is there anything that economic development or 1 Million Cups can do for you?
I think this is good, just the networking side and the, hooking up, because these things lead to political places, it leads to the schools and things like that, and we're finding network is just a great thing. So that's why I'm excited to share, and if anybody's got questions or want to get feedback, look me up. I got cards up here, you can call, come check this out here.
Mulch, you might go into that for the cities.
Real quick, colored mulch, has anybody bought that recently? You know how much it is?
Mm-hmm.
50, 75 bucks a yard. We just discovered this weekend that our machine out here can take the junkiest mulch that we can find and convert it into colored mulch to the tune of, at the rate of income of around 400 bucks an hour. No drying, no nothing. So that's one more thing we get to add to our product, to say, here's your entrepreneurial opportunity, rather than sawmill to Hopkinsville to Mr. Mulch, where they got to process it, truck it back and forth, trucking everywhere. That's why it costs so much. Let a local entrepreneur turn this stuff that we've got over Bean Cemetery or whatever into that kind of product. I can make it small scale. It can be Kentucky blue and white. It can be whatever. Advantages that nobody else can do. One more thing that we're adding to our entrepreneurial library of people. So,
Thank you.
Thanks.